Hello and welcome.
I know.
We are live. My name is Katie Piermine and I am the food sourcing manager here at Oregon Food Bank. We'll be mic'd later. We're micing Susanna in just a second because we're live. So I'm privileged to do the food sourcing with 21 other partners, regional food banks across the state, here and in Clark County, Washington. Today I have a very distinct pleasure of introducing Oregon Food Bank CEO Susanna Morgan as she'll be giving the inaugural State of Hunger address. Another first for Oregon Food Bank is live streaming of Susanna's presentation today. Today's address is important to many, so we're utilizing technology to ensure equal access for those who can't attend. So thank you for joining remotely. In the room here today, at the Northeast Portland branch of Oregon Food Bank, we're delighted to be hosting the Oregon Department of Agriculture's Board of Agriculture. So joining us in the room, we have staff and board members from both of our organizations. We have some of our key hunger fighting partners in the room, and then some of the members of the public as well. And because this is a live stream, please hold your questions until the end, at which time the live stream will end, and then we'll take questions for those in the room. Oregon growers and producers are integral partners in providing fresh and healthy food for our families. More than 57% of our food comes from partners across the food industry in the state, and that's incredible. And much of it is grown here right in Oregon. In fact, each week we receive 3 to 5 full tractor-trailer loads of produce from our growers in the region. This is one of the reasons that we've invited our Board of Agriculture today to learn about hunger in our region and to better understand the crucial role that Oregon agriculture plays in the fight to address hunger. Oregon is fortunate to have Susanna Morgan leading us. Susanna has been the CEO of Oregon Food Bank since November of 2012. Prior to joining us, Susanna led the fight against hunger in Alaska. For more than a decade, she was the executive director at Food Bank of Alaska. Susanna is also an active leader in the national network of food banks, Feeding America, and currently serves on the National Council. So in January of 2016, Susanna will have been in food banking for 20 years in 4 states. Join me in welcoming Susanna Morgan.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Great. So we are here to talk about hunger in the state of Oregon. And the first thing we need to say is that there are way too many people in Oregon and Southwest Washington are experiencing hunger. That number is 800,000 people. 1 in 5. If that were a disease, we would call it an epidemic. 1 in 5. According to the USDA Household Security Study, we are the 13th hungriest state in the nation, and hunger has grown over the last decade by nearly 5% in Oregon. This is a crisis. However, there is some good news. It is not getting worse. Since the start of the Great Recession, we have seen nearly 50% more people come and ask for emergency food assistance from food pantries and soup kitchens across the state. We now have 5 to 6 quarters worth of data that tells us that that number is leveling off. We are not seeing more people ask for food assistance. That is good. It is also not getting any better. That is bad. We know that the single biggest reason that people end up asking for food assistance is income. According to our recently released report on the folks who are actually asking for food assistance, we did a survey across the state, folks going to food pantries and soup kitchens, 72% of those folks are living at or below the federal poverty line. That is $24,250 for a family of 4. So 3 out of 4 people accessing food assistance in the state are living on less than $25,000 a year for a family of 4. Very, very low wages. We also know that of people who are accessing food assistance, 90% fall into the categories of working, trying to work, or can't work. So nearly 40% of folks have someone in the household who is working. More than a third are either retired or disabled, and 16% or so are actively seeking work. So that is the broad category of folks. One of the good pieces of news is that category of folks who is actively seeking work is shrinking. The last time we did this survey in 2012, that was 23%. That's gone down to 16%, which I think is a sign of our recovering economy and is good news. We also know that health is another bright spot. We have seen 73% of households now tell us that they have someone in their household who is enrolled in Oregon's basic plan, health plan, or in Basic Health Washington. And that is up 15% since 2012. So as we are seeing across the nation, we are seeing more coverage. This is great news. However, the biggest source of household debt remains medical bills. We also continue to see that hunger hurts the most vulnerable among us. 52% of folks who access emergency food assistance are households with children. Nearly 20% are elderly at or above the age of 65, and nearly 20% have a veteran in their household makeup. This has not changed over this time. This is the population that we continue to try and serve. So these are the facts and figures. Hunger remains a steady, persistent, and excruciatingly large problem in our state and in our region. Let's talk about what we're doing about it. So we break our work down into 3 large portfolios. The first portfolio is Food Today. How do you make sure that no one misses a meal today? This is the core work of food banking, the collection and distribution of food. And I'm pleased to report we're making really good progress on that. The amount of food that we are able to distribute is up. The number of locations that are doing really good work across the state is growing. And we have this incredibly strong and collaborative anti-hunger network in Oregon. One of the best pieces and brightest pieces of news has been our connection to local Oregon agriculture and the resulting increases in fresh produce. We set a strategic plan about 18 months ago, and we said we wanted to increase the amount of fresh produce we distribute by 50%, which means 10% a year or about 1 million pounds. Well, last year we blew that number out of the water, and we increased by almost 2 million pounds, most of it coming from Oregon or from the Pacific Northwest region. That is a huge testament to the power of Oregon agriculture, to the power of collaboration, and to the desire of people who are trying to feed their families good food to get really excellent local produce. I want to tell you a story about a lady I met, a single mom with 2 kids, lives in the Dalles, working a near minimum wage job and sort of barely getting by. And she told me that every time she got her paycheck, she'd take her kids to the grocery store, they would buy 3 apples. And they would eat those apples right then and there. And they wouldn't have any more apples until the next paycheck. And I just thought, just miles from here are the most delicious apples in the entire world. And there are funny looking apples, and there are apples that are the wrong size to go to market, that we should be able to get into the food assistance system. This is a problem we can fix. And I am happy to say that we have fixed it. We are getting a truckload of Oregon or Pacific Northwest Washington apples every week and getting those out to the 950 food pantries and soup kitchens. No one should have to go without apples in our state as of right now. Isn't that awesome? We're delighted to be able to offer, thanks to the generosity of our agricultural partners, potatoes, carrots, onions, and pears on the same level of regularity, and then other local produce as it is available in season. So this is a huge push for us and something that I am incredibly proud of, our work and our collaboration. Another good piece of news on the what are we doing to fill plates today side is the work that we have done to build and expand school pantries. So as we heard, nearly more than half of the people we're serving are families with children. Well, where do families and children go? Schools. How do we make sure that we are connecting all of those families with children with food assistance? By locating a pantry in a school every week where there is a food distribution that can distribute fresh food, culturally relevant food, in a location where the kids and the families already are, has been an amazing success. So we were able to, over the last 18 months, increase from 13 to 26 school food pantries. And that is something that has taken off and is starting to expand across the state. We really look forward to that being a way for us to get more of that great fresh produce into the hands of the folks who need it most. A second big portfolio of our work, besides the Food Today work, is the Food Tomorrow work. So once somebody needs food assistance, how do we work at getting them out of needing food assistance? How do we help them build on their own resilience, their own self-confidence, their own abilities to get back to a place where they don't need emergency food? One of our great successes has been our education programs, which build skills and build upon skills that people already have across our state. These are cooking, nutrition, and cooking budgeting classes for several weeks. Or they can be a tour of a grocery store to learn how to shop for good deals and look for high sodium foods and figure out how to make healthy meals on a budget. It can be gardening on a budget, our award-winning Seed to Supper curriculum. We have been doing these in the Portland metro area for years and years and years. As of the end of the last year, 62% of Oregon counties, plus Clark County, Washington, now offer these education and skill building opportunities. So when folks find themselves in need of help, they have some ability to step up and learn those additional skills that will help them get out of it. I tend to think of this as the rutabaga problem. We can give everyone an apple and they know what to do with it, but would you know what to do with a rutabaga? If you don't, come to a Cooking Matters class. Also in the Food Tomorrow category is the amazing connection that we are building with the healthcare system. I think that it would be obvious to everyone in this room that there is a connection between food and health. If your body isn't taking in the right nutrients, the right calories, your body can't function properly. And even more importantly, the research is now showing that if in your very earliest days, as you were in the womb and in your first 1,000 days of life, you are not getting the right nutrition, that will impact which genes are turned on and off and expressed in your body, and it will tell you whether you have a heart attack at 50 or at 80. So nutrition is one of the bases of long-term chronic disease. So we are building those connections with the health, and the specific way we are doing that is through a program called Screen and Intervene. And we were really proud to partner with OHSU 4 or 5 years ago now to integrate into their health records system questions about food security. Have you or anyone in your household missed a meal? When you came in to visit your doctor, you would get asked those questions. And if you said yes, then your doctor would intervene, provide a referral to you to something that would help you, whether that would be SNAP or WIC or a local food pantry, some kind of intervention to help your food security. And that was a huge success. We learned, one, nobody minds answering intrusive questions at the doctor's office. We all do that all the time. Two, the doctors were guessing wrong which of their patients might be food insecure. They actually needed that data. And three, if they had that data, they made different diagnoses. Is your blood sugar high because you're pre-diabetic, or is your blood sugar high because your nutrition is bad because you can't afford good nutrition? And this was such a success, we expanded it out, and in the last 4 years we've grown from that one relationship with OHSU to now we are pushing 250 clinics statewide that are doing this screening and some kind of customized intervention in nearly 50% of the counties in Oregon. It has been a huge success. And I can tell you as a food bank director, I wake up in the middle of the night worrying about people who need our help, who don't know we are there. And this is one of the ways we can make sure that we are there. And it is one of the ways we can make sure they won't need us tomorrow because it will help them with their health. chunk of work that we work on is the Food for All component. How do you change the rules of the game? How do you make systemic change so that my children and my children's children won't also be dealing with the question of hunger? And one of the big ways we do that is through legislative advocacy. And I am really pleased to be able to tell you that we have been able to make some really big strides. So 2 years ago, we were able to get, in collaboration with many folks in this room, a crop donation tax credit at the state level so that farmers and growers who wanted to be able to donate could have some tax benefit for doing that here in Oregon. That was fantastic. But we learned today from Senator Wyden's staff that the food donation tax deduction at the federal level that has had to be renewed year in, year out for years now, looks like it will be made permanent in a vote on Monday. So that's fantastic. I also just got off a call from Senator Merkley, who told us that they have added additional funding for the distribution of USDA commodities into an appropriations bill. And for the first time in more than a decade, food banks may actually see an increase in federal funds to be able to distribute this food. So from my perspective, Washington has been in gridlock for 5 years, and today it broke. And I'm crediting the Board of Ag with that. And I need to wrap, but I just want to wrap by telling you that at the Oregon Business Summit on Monday, we heard John Taponia tell us that Oregon is a job creation machine. Our biggest hope for the future is living wage, family wage jobs. We are not yet seeing that impact the number of hungry folks, but when I hear that our economy is thriving, I think we will get there. We will get there. And I firmly believe that Oregon will be the first state in these United States to end hunger. We grow food here, we think about food, we talk about food, we care about food, and we care about each other very much.